morning. Dr. Nasir once again. Welcome to all of you to this video of mine and advanced Eid Mubarak to all of you. Okay. You might have seen the previous video. Our topic was correction of sentences. It can be taken as a sort of general topic, but main actually focus of this was the CSS students, because these sentences have been taken from the CSS English paper, and as you can see over here, 2019. 7-8 sentences are there. As I told you in the previous video, that our purpose is not just to find the solution of it. This thing is incorrect, this is correct. Until we do decide things, we do delve into things, it's just a futile exercise, it's of no use. Okay. So the purpose is not just correcting it, the purpose is just to dig into the things, try to understand what the inside story is. Okay. So in the previous actually video, we did discuss 5-6 points. The first was none of the boys had learned their lesson. I told you in detail that this thing can be considered singular. If it is singular, then answer should be his, right? I tried to give you the concept of antecedent, okay? But sometimes it can be treated as plural. In that case, this there is okay. The next was I regretted the delay. As I told you, there are some words that are not followed by any preposition, and regret is one of those words. So you just have to omit this thing. Okay. I could not help but laugh. In this case, I told you very clearly, the rule is help is being used in the sense of avoiding something. So the rule was help plus ing form. Okay. I couldn't help talking, I couldn't help laughing, I couldn't help running, something like this. The next was I always have and always shall be your friend. So this thing can be taken in different ways. Actually, technically it's a compound sentence, but the problem in this was the main verb was missing in this portion. As I told you, have must be followed by been, B-W-N, been. And been in routine is used as auxiliary verb, but over here it is being used as main verb. Okay. Similarly, shall be in routine is used as helping verb, but over here it is being used as main verb. Okay. And then shall can be will, you can change it a bit. Practically, as all of you know, shall is no more there, especially except in those very formal expressions, especially in laws, shall is still there. In interrogative sentences, right? Shall I start this thing? But in routine life, shall is almost obsolete, but if they have given it, it's okay. Okay? So the had rule that will is used for stress and shall is used in routine cases, that is no more there. We even in routine life, even in routine cases, we use will in all cases. So the main glaring mistake over here is right, it should be have been. I was out walking when I saw the new moon in the garden. In this case, as I told you earlier, sequence was not correct, right? So walking should be here and out should be followed by that. Technically, it was sort of adverb. I was walking out. Okay. So just 2-3 expressions are left. But once again, one can actually solve all this stuff right within 2 minutes. But that's not our target. That's not our purpose. So let's start with this one. He cried as if he was mad. He cried as if he was mad. Expression is a bit formal, so what do you think? Can you give it a go? What? Problem is over here. As if is used in what sense? As if means, suppose you say he was talking as if he were president. It means actually he is not a president, but he is behaving like a president. So this situation is called, yes, sometimes actually verbs are not real, they are unreal. Okay, inshallah, I have already discussed this thing in so many other videos. So, as I've just said, verbs can be real, they can be unreal. Okay, verbs can be classified on different grounds. But over here, our concern is these two things: real verbs and unreal verbs. Okay. And most of the verbs are real ones, right? Suppose you say, I met her, I told her, we walked, we jogged, we jostled, whatever. These are real verbs. Unreal verb means something that is not real. That means the technical name of unreal verbs is subjunctive verbs, right? Technically we call them subjunctive verbs. Let me make it prominent. Subjunctive. Subjunctive verbs. Clear? So the purpose is he cried as if he was, right, mad. So was is a real verb. In some expressions, when situation is not real, as I said, he cried, right? He was blubbering, he was crying, and the impression was that he was actually a sort of mad person. But it is unreal in the sense that actually he was not mad. He was behaving like a lunatic, but actually he was not mad. Okay? So, real verbs, unreal verbs are subjunctive verbs. So, you would have got the idea, but for further clarification, let me kiss it a bit. What are subjunctive verbs? Subjunctive verb is a verb that is unreal in the sense that suppose apparently a thing is in the past, but actually that is in the present. Let's take a simple example. You say, if I met him, okay, I'll do whatever. If I say, if I meet him, okay, I'll do this and that. Clear? In these two expressions, what do you think? Let me take another example. I met him. So, what did your mind say? The first expression, I met him, it means met is a real verb in the sense that we are referring to the past. I met him. I had a meeting with him. I met him. Okay? So this one is a real verb. Are you getting this? So at the moment we are not concerned about this. It's a real verb. I met him. We practically. So take these two examples. If I met him, if I meet him. The literal translation of both these expressions is the same. In both cases, you just want to say, if I have a sort of meeting, somehow if I meet him. Practically meaning is the same. If I met him, apparently it is referring to the past. But in this expression, this thing is referring to the past, but in this it's not. If I met him and if I meet him. In both cases, we want to say, if I do meet that fellow. The question is, this one, it's a real verb, but this one, it is unreal or subjunctive. How? Why? The reason is, this is not actually something, we are not referring to the past in the real sense. We are talking in the present, right? But verb, apparently it is given the impression of the past. Meaning is the same. If I, suppose you say, if I found his email, or if I find his email, both have the same meaning. But if I found, it is unreal, and if I find, it's real. Now the question pops up, then what is the difference? What is the difference between these two expressions? Suppose, if I met him, if practically it means if I meet him. Then what is the difference? There is a slight difference, and that is, in this case, if I met him, there is less chance. If someone asks you for doing something and you actually have no idea about that thing. But even then, if someone says, no, tell me, make it clear what. So you say, if I found this thing, if I met him, it means in this case there is what? In this case there is less probability. Less probability. It means you personally feel that perhaps I won't be able to have a sort of meeting with that fellow. There is least chance of that. Right? So, in this case, if I meet him, there is real verb, there is more probability. Suppose it can be something 50-50, something like that. More probability. So, this one is unreal and this is real. Meaning is the same, but, right? Something like, suppose in case of may and might, all of you know, models may and might. In case of may, there is more chance, right? He may come. We personally think perhaps there is a chance that he or she would come, right? Something like 50-50. But if he might come. So we feel that there is 20% chance. You're not sure about that thing. Even if, in that situation, if someone is hanging out for the thing, so, okay, tell me what. So then we'll say, if I might, but if there is more chance, then if I may. So in this case, what is the difference? Let me make it clear. Point is a bit difficult, but not that difficult. If I met him, its real meaning is if I meet him. But it is subjunctive in the sense that it is referring to it is not real. It is something different from the above expression. In the above, I met him, you practically met that fellow. In this, you have to meet. You have to meet. That action has to happen somehow. Clear? So this thing was actually not directly related to that. He cried in this situation. The situation is unreal. It means we just want to say he was crying like a mad person. So whenever you want to show something unreal or subjunctive situation, so in that case we do what? We do what? Something like this, not the same. In that case we use what? To show the subjunctive situation. Subjunctive situation. An unreal situation. We do what? Was shows something real and word shows something unreal. Okay? Unreal in the sense that in routine, right? If you use this word with some plural, we were there, they were there, that's not unreal. But it becomes unreal if we use it with some singular. If we use it with he, she, if, right? This thing is followed by verb, that is unreal. Okay? And actually it is something relating to conditional sentences. I did discuss, right, in so many other lectures too. You can actually go through those lectures if you want to be more clear about. Conditional sentences are of 3 types. Right? Like what? Open conditionals, imaginary conditionals, and unfulfilled conditionals. So we won't go into that detail over here. Something relating to this is imaginary condition. Imaginary condition is what? It is one of the conditions, right? Imaginary condition. Right? In this thing, something like this, not 100%, right? Concept is almost the same. In imaginary condition, we do what? We imagine a thing, but that thing is not real. Right? So, what you say? If I were president of America, this is something unreal. If I were in place of my mother, if I were your father. So, all these are suppositions, right? In these conditions, the structure is like this. The first is if clause, just what's the rule? First we use if, then we use subject, then we use word. Okay? If I were your elder brother, if I were a girl. So in this case, we use word to show that unreal situation. Are you getting now? Okay. And for the main clause, I have discussed this thing in the previous videos so many times. In the main clause, we do what? In the if clause, structure is the same. If I were your father, if I were Prime Minister of Pakistan, if I were whatever. In the main clause, we use this structure. First we use subject, then we use verb, then we use first form. Okay. But this thing is there if the expression is active, AV, active voice. I don't want to go into detail because I have actually elaborated all. Right? Subject word in first form. If it is PV, passive voice, then first we use object, then verb, then P, then third form. Right? In case of imaginary conditionals, in case of supposition, this is the structure. A very important point that needs to be noted is the concept of AV in PV is only in this clause. In this clause, there is no active, no passive. Why? The reason is there is no action involved in this case. We are just supposing a thing. It's a straight line thing. If I were you, if I were principal of that college, okay, it is just a sort of supposition. So the purpose of all this was just to make it clear that was and were sometimes become different. So in this expression, he cried. Situation is unreal. That's why instead of was, we are using were, irrespective of the thing that is being preceded by he. So this is the answer. Because situation is subjunctive, unreal. Okay. Some concepts are a bit difficult, but if you toil a bit, things can turn fine. Okay. The next is he enjoyed during the holidays. He enjoyed during the holidays. So what do you think? Can you guess he enjoyed during the holidays? For a lay folk, it's okay. He enjoyed during the holidays. As some students do enjoy during the class. When teacher is busy in teaching and they are busy in their public and all that. So he enjoyed during the holiday. In this expression, once again, it's a new topic actually. He enjoyed. Just keep in mind that sometimes some words are followed by some sort of object. Sort of. If I tell you, suppose I say, I told him. Okay, in this expression, this is your subject, this is your verb, and this is your object. Clear? I told him, I informed him. But in some situations, there are some verbs. Suppose in this case, he enjoyed. Actually, the word enjoy, in this expression, do you think there should be sort of object or not? Sort of object is required actually in this case. But the problem is that in this case, it's not a real object in the sense that he was enjoying and the action is still confined to that person. If I say, he, right, informed him. In this case, him is object. It's very clear. But if you say, he enjoyed, it means this fellow is enjoying and action is confined to the same person. But in formal English, sometimes it said that we must use some word like some reflexive pronoun, right? Suppose you say, he enjoyed, it must be followed by something like himself, herself, themselves. So obviously we have to match with this. He enjoyed, so himself. So himself, technically it's a reflexive pronoun. They will get this topic in some other lecture. So we need some reflexive pronoun, okay? It's a reflexive pronoun. Reflexive pronoun. So he enjoyed himself. This himself, or she enjoyed herself. Right? Or they enjoyed themselves. Actually, this thing, this is your subject, this is your verb, clear? And this thing, it's not actually object in the true sense. It is sort of object. You can call it sort of object, but it's not object in the true sense because object means the action starts from one thing, action starts from the subject, and then is shifted to the object. In this expression, himself is something close to object. You can call it object, but not in the real sense of the word. Okay? You just keep in mind that some words are followed by reflexive pronoun, like himself, herself, myself. Suppose you say, he availed the opportunity. So we say, no, this expression is incorrect in standard English. It should be, he availed himself of the opportunity. Clear? So, just, it's fine, I think, no need of going into that much detail. So, he enjoyed himself. Had it been she enjoyed herself. They enjoyed themselves. Okay? All these are reflexive pronouns. Right? So, there are some other pronouns, they are very close to these, but they are slightly different. Should I try that thing? If I say, sometimes situation becomes a bit tricky in the sense that if I say he killed himself, so what do you think? Is it a reflexive pronoun or not? He killed himself. He killed himself. Right? Subject. This is your verb, and himself means action is coming to this. So himself over here is being used about. It is being used as reflexive pronoun. Okay. But if I, in especially CSS exam or in this very high level exam, sometimes they change this expression a bit. Suppose you say he himself. Okay. Okay. And students say, okay, Narcissus, I was told that this is reflexive pronoun, so it's reflexive. But there might be some other option in that, right? So he himself killed. In this case, right, action was confined to this person. Right? He killed, whatever he did, that was confined to that person. So actually, this verb is not transitive in the true sense. It is sort of intransitive verb. But in this expression, he himself killed. In this case, he is your subject, killed is your verb. That means he himself will give the impression that if someone says, no, it was just a chance, actually he didn't want to do this thing. If I say, no, he himself killed, it means the person who is being killed is someone else. So try to understand. He himself killed. It means you are stressing the word himself. He himself killed. It means he is responsible for the killing of such and such person. So, in this situation, this thing is different. It's called emphatic pronoun. It is right emphasizing that thing. Emphatic pronoun. Anyway, we shall take this topic in some other lecture on this pronouns. But from examination point of view, suppose this is the case. He himself killed, 90% students would answer like this. This is a reflexive pronoun, but actually it is an emphatic pronoun. Okay. So the last expression is, he is abusing the money of his father. He is abusing the money of his father. Anyone can guess what actually? Apparently it's okay, but there must be something wrong. What's that? He is abusing the money of his father. So we need to focus on two things. The first is this, the second is this. Okay? Right? So about the money of his father, it's almost okay. Or something we can say. Actually, to understand this thing, you need to understand this thing. One is S genitive and one is of genitive. Right? S genitive and of genitive. That means what? S genitive means something that is used for possession, like Nasirs, Amjils, okay, fathers. So, S genitive means, suppose you say, this is Nasirs. And all of you know, this apostrophe with S is called S genitive. They use for possession. No? And of genitive means, in some cases, so you say, the leg of the table. Of genitive means that expression is actually, it's once again used for showing possession. The leg of the table. Huh? If I say, suppose you take this thing, the money of his father. In this case, actually, of genitive is being used. So it's not incorrect. The money of his father is fine. But instead of it, if you want to change it a bit, it can become what? He is abusing his father's father's apostrophe with this money. If you want to change it, it's okay. If you don't, I think there's no harm in that. But the howler, the mistake, the serious mistake is over here. What's this mistake? He's abusing. He is abusing. Anything wrong with abuse? Abuse is a very common word. All of us really say everyone is abusing power, abusing authority. The word is fine, but this word is not giving proper sense over here. Technically, we call it diction error. We call it diction error. Diction error. Okay? Diction error means words are fine, but they don't give proper sense in that situation. Suppose here we need some other word to make its sense clear. He is abusing the money of his father. Suppose you say he is spoiling the money of his father. He is misusing the money of his father. He is splurging the money of his father. We say it's okay. So word is fine, but dictionary means that word is not giving proper sense. Suppose instead of abuse, this is incorrect. Take any word, right? It can be misuse, right? It can be, suppose, splurge means to spend something recklessly, right? So any word of this sort. This is called diction error. It means words are fine, but they are not given the proper sense. Let me take some other example of diction error. Suppose you say, I wanted to elevate the problem. Okay? I wanted to alleviate the table. So in these two expressions, the word elevate is fine, the word alleviate is fine, but the problem is, I wanted to elevate the problem. This word elevate, all of you know, means to intensify something, to accentuate something, to increase the intensity of something. So we actually don't want to say this thing over here. So it's not giving sense. We say this is a dictionary. So as I just said, I wanted to elevate the problem. The word elevate is fine, but not over here. So technically, such situation in which words are fine, but they don't give their proper sense. This thing is technically called what? Diction error. It is called diction error. Okay. It means if elevate is not being used in its proper sense, we will call it diction error. Otherwise, elevate is fine. But I wanted to elevate the problem. You want to say what? You don't want to intensify that thing. Actually, you want to say something like this. I wanted to mitigate the problem. I wanted to pacify the problem. Are you getting? I wanted to alleviate the problem. Something like this. Right? Any word of this sort, this, or something like this. You just wanted to reduce the intensity of that. If I replace this elevate with any of these, or something like this, right? If you just say reduce, it's almost okay. You say, I want to mitigate the problem, I want to pacify, alleviate, assuage, smooth, or smoothen. So, this is fine, okay? Instead of reduce, the more formal word is suppose, if you take this one, alleviate, so I think it would sound better. Now it's okay. I wanted to alleviate the problem. In this expression, I wanted to elevate the table. You actually want to say, I want to raise that table somehow. So, the word alleviate is not giving sense over here. So we need some word that gives the impression that to raise something. I wanted to raise the table up. I wanted to. If I replace this with this, instead of elevate, if I say elevate, even a layfolk can guess now it's okay. So words were fine, but they were not at the proper place. So over here, elevate was not giving sense. In this expression, alleviate was not giving sense. So in this expression, the word abusing was not giving its proper sense. So this sort of mistakes are called diction errors. Clear? So the nutshell of today's lecture is that in the first expression, right, we needed some subjunctive verb and we use verb with when verb is there in imaginary conditions or otherwise too. We use verb with all the cases, singular, plural, in all cases. In case of plural, all of you know verb is there, but in case of he, she, it is a singular. If you use verb to it means it's a sort of supposition. It's something unreal. Clear? And we talked about this in detail. He enjoyed during the holidays. So we need some word object-like thing, not object in the true sense, to clarify the meaning. He enjoyed himself, she enjoyed herself. Okay, they enjoyed themselves, something like that. And he's abusing the money of his father. This is diction error. Replace it with any word. It's not in the Quran that you have to write misuse. Right? He is spoiling. He is splurging. He is profligating. He is misusing. All these expressions come. So I think for today it's enough. Inshallah. See you after the Eid very soon. I do enjoy it. Thank you. Allah.